The moment I was dropped into this world, I found myself in the body of Caleb Sterling, and his fiancée was currently jilting him at the altar. "Caleb, I'm in love with Leo," she announced to the entire wedding hall. "Since he's here now, this wedding is off." The story's hero gazed at her, his eyes full of devotion. "Sophia, I told you I'd be here for you. If the Sterling family dares to stand in our way, I'll tear them down with my bare hands one day." A smirk played on my lips. "Why wait? Let's do it today." "Security," I called out. "Detain every member of the Russo family. If they resist, eliminate them on the spot." My job is to jump into stories. With every mission I complete, my power elevates to a whole new tier. By the time I landed in the body of Caleb Sterling, heir to one of this world's 4 founding families, my power had already reached the immortal tier. Just then, the chapel bells tolled. The officiant held the microphone to the bride. "Do you, Sophia, take this man, Caleb Sterling, to be your lawfully wedded husband?" "She doesn't." Before Sophia Russo could answer, a voice, dripping with arrogance, boomed through the hall. The main doors burst open, revealing the stone-faced hero of this story, Leo Vance. Sophia's eyes lit up. She ripped the veil from her hair. "Caleb, I'm in love with Leo. Now that he's here, our wedding is canceled." Leo Vance looked at Sophia with a smoldering intensity. "Sophia, I promised I'd crash this wedding. If the Sterling family tries to stop me, a day will come when I will personally destroy them." I quickly ran through the novel's original plot in my head. In this world, a fraction of the population had awakened, gaining supernatural abilities. Society was dominated by 3 mystical sanctuaries and 4 ancient founding families. The Sterlings were one of those 4 families. And Caleb Sterling, the original owner of this body, was nothing more than a simp for Sophia Russo. He'd never so much as held her hand, yet he'd showered her family with a fortune in resources and connections. The Russos, thanks to Sterling's backing, had climbed from being complete nobodies to a second-tier power player in New York City. They were the talk of the town. And today's wedding? It was just another scene in the grand drama co-starring Sophia and the chosen one, Leo Vance. They had deliberately timed this spectacle for when the Sterling family's most powerful members were away, dealing with a dimensional rift that had opened up downtown. It was all a grand performance to prove to the world that their love was the real deal. The original Caleb Sterling was a pathetic doormat. He had tearfully wished them well and let them walk away together. Not only that, he continued to funnel a steady stream of funding and assets to the Russo family. They, in turn, handed it all over to Leo Vance. Eventually, Leo ascended to a godlike level of power. But before he left this mortal plane, he led the Russo family in a full-scale assault that wiped the Sterlings from the face of the earth. My last mission nearly killed me. This simple revenge plot is exactly what I need. Call it bonus round. The entire hall erupted in chaos. Did someone just crash a Sterling wedding? Is he suicidal? Is Sophia Russo insane? The Russo family owes everything to the Sterlings. Exactly. To publicly cancel the wedding and humiliate the Sterlings like this. They're done for. I don't know about that. Everyone knows Caleb is completely whipped when it comes to her. He might actually agree to this. The Sterling family members in attendance were on their feet, glaring daggers at Leo. But without my command, they wouldn't make a move. Every eye in the room was now fixed on me. I offered a lazy, mocking smile. Why wait till some distant day? Let's settle this today. Security, round up the Russos. If anyone resists, you have my permission to use lethal force. A collective gasp went through the crowd. No one had ever imagined that the spineless Caleb Sterling could have such a decisive, ruthless side. Sophia froze for a second. Then, the corners of her mouth turned up in a smirk. She clearly didn't take me seriously. Sterling security moved like wolves into a flock of sheep, immediately surrounding the Russo family. A few of them put up a struggle, but the guards hesitated to get rough. They all knew how I used to spoil Sophia. They weren't sure if I was serious about killing them all, or if this was just a bluff to scare her into line. "Stop right there," Leo Vance roared. A brilliant golden light exploded from his body. The phantom image of a colossal dragon materialized above him, roaring silently. The hall buzzed with shocked whispers. What is that? The Draconic Core? He's that prodigy from the Vance family. Leo Vance. My God, that's a legendary tier awakening. It only happens once a century. I heard he was recruited by the Argent Sanctum, one of the 3 great sanctuaries, and became their new chosen one. No wonder he has the guts to cause trouble here. A Draconic Core. They say it's a direct path to godhood. Hearing the gasps of awe, Leo held his head high, his tone dripping with contempt. That's right. I am Leo Vance, he declared. Caleb Sterling, do you still dare to stand in my way? Sophia was quick to put distance between us. Caleb, my heart belongs to Leo. You're not worthy of me. I will never marry you. My expression remained calm, a faint, unreadable smile on my face as I turned my attention to the head of the Russo family. Excellent. Is this the official position of the Russo family as well? Mr. Russo sensed something was wrong, but he squared his shoulders and spoke. It is. Leo possesses the Draconic Core, a once-in-a-century genius who has already reached the adept tier at such a young age. Compared to him, you are nothing but a useless waste. How could you possibly be worthy of my daughter? I turned to my butler standing behind me and spoke in a cold, level voice. Mr. Davies, the head of the Russo family, has spoken out of turn. Remove one of his arms. Yes, young master. Mr. Davies replied with a respectful bow. In a flash, he was a phantom, appearing instantly at Mr. Russo's side. There was a glint of steel. With a sickening thump, Mr. Russo's arm flew through the air. Ag! He let out an inhuman shriek, clutching the bleeding stump as he writhed on the marble floor. His eyes, when they met mine, were filled with pure venom. It had all happened too fast. The guests were still processing what they'd seen. Dad! Sophia screamed, rushing to her father's side. She couldn't believe it. This was Caleb Sterling, the man who would bend over backward for her, who would personally punish one of his own guards if she so much as mentioned a dislike for them. How could he have given such a brutal order against her father? She snapped her head up, her eyes blazing with fury. Caleb, are you insane? Over something as trivial as me calling off the wedding, you cut off my father's arm? Do you want me to hate you forever? You get over here and kneel and apologize right now. Otherwise, don't even think about me ever forgiving you. Leo, however, had run out of patience. Sophia, why are you still talking to this loser? I'm going to cripple him right here, right now. As he spoke, the golden light around him intensified. The Draconic Phantom let out a deafening roar before shooting toward me like a golden meteor. His fist, glowing brightly, carried an unstoppable force. Young master, look out. Mr. Davies's face paled as he moved to intercept. No need. I held up a hand to stop him, my gaze turning ice cold. Just as Leo's fist was about to connect with my face, I shifted slightly, my body barely moving, and casually slapped him across the cheek. The shockwave of energy was immense. Leo's eyes instantly filled with blood. His entire body slammed into the floor with such force that the marble cracked beneath him. The entire hotel seemed to shake from the impact. Leo Vance lay before me, crumpled like a dog, for the entire hall was struck dumb. Sophia's face was ashen, her eyes wide with disbelief as she stared at me. Leo Vance, the wielder of the Draconic Core, defeated just like that? How is that possible? Even Mr. Davies was frozen in shock. When had the young master become so powerful? Leo tried to scramble to his feet, but I slammed my foot down on his head, grinding his face into the floor. I had already sealed his powers. He was helpless, no matter how much he struggled. Leo's face was dark, his fists clenched. I'll admit, you're strong, Sterling, but it's not enough. If you let me go right now and get on your knees and apologize, I might give you a chance to be my subordinate. He gritted his teeth, forcing out each word. Otherwise, the Argent Sanctum will make sure your entire family pays the price. I pressed down harder with my foot. Splat. Leo coughed up a mouthful of blood, the impact shuddering through his body. Sophia, seeing this, panicked. She shrieked and rushed forward, trying to pry my leg off him. Caleb, how dare you? Let Leo go right now, or I'll never, ever forgive you. Jesus, will you shut up already? I backhanded her without even looking. Sophia hit the hotel wall with a sickening crunch. Her body was literally embedded in the drywall. Her mother went ballistic. First, her husband's arm was severed. Now her daughter was assaulted. Rage consumed her. She pointed a trembling finger at me and screamed, "Caleb Sterling, you have some nerve. Have you forgotten how you used to grovel for our Sophia's attention? And now you dare hit her? This wedding is officially over. Don't ever expect her to speak to you again. A petty, small-minded man like you doesn't deserve to be loved." Sophia, being awakened, was durable. Though she felt like every bone in her body was rattling, she wasn't completely incapacitated. Her face was pale and blood trickled from her lips as she painfully pulled herself out of the wall. She looked weak, but her voice was sharp. "Mom, why are you even talking to him? All I did was call off a wedding, and he does this to me? From now on, we're not even friends. I'm going to make Caleb Sterling regret this for the rest of his life." Huh, so melodramatic. Five for the moment. I couldn't be bothered with these two idiots. I took a short sword from Mr. Davies' hand. Grabbing a handful of Leo's hair, I yanked his head up, forcing him to look at me. I patted his cheek lightly, a mocking smile on my face. "Huh, the Draconic Core? The Chosen One? My family has no quarrel with you. Yet you crashed my wedding, threatened to cripple me, and vow to destroy my entire family. Who do you think runs this city, Leo Vance?" Leo's face flushed with shame and anger. He opened his mouth to retort, but I didn't give him a chance. I plunged the sword through his right palm, pinning it to the floor. "Aha!" A blood-curdling scream tore through the hall. Leo's right hand was nailed to the marble, blood pooling around it. His body convulsed in pain, veins bulging on his forehead. The look in his eyes promised a slow, painful death. "Caleb Sterling, how dare you do this to me? I have the Draconic Core. I am destined for godhood. Every dog has its day. Don't you dare look down on me now. For every bit of pain you inflict on me today, I will repay you 100, 1,000 times over. I will grind your bones to dust and erase you from existence." Godhood? The future. I scoffed, applying more pressure with my foot, grinding his face deeper into the cracked floor. "You? A useless piece of trash like you thinks he's worthy of ascension? You think you have a future? You think that so-called Draconic Core of yours is so special? In my eyes, you're just a slightly larger ant. And that Argent Sanctum of yours, you really think they can protect you?" My eyes turned cold, my voice dripping with undisguised contempt. "Forget one Argent Sanctum. Even if all 3 sanctuaries came here today, they wouldn't be able to save your pathetic life. Fine, your family is finished. You just wait." Leo was still screaming threats, trying to use his connections to intimidate me. But I had no intention of letting him finish. I took another short sword from my butler. With a flick of my wrist and another gut-wrenching scream, Leo's left hand was also pinned to the floor. Sputter. He coughed up another spray of blood, his face a deathly white as his energy faded. But the hatred in his eyes burned as brightly as ever. Good. A true protagonist. Stubborn to the end. The wedding guests were frozen in terror, not daring to breathe. Even the Russos were looking at me like I was a madman. No one had expected Caleb Sterling to be so reckless. To attack the chosen one of the Argent Sanctum with such brutality? The 3 sanctuaries were powers that existed above even the founding families. This wasn't just kicking a hornet's nest. This was setting the whole forest on fire. Wasn't the Sterling family afraid of being annihilated? Seeing her beloved Leo pinned to the ground, howling like a dying animal, Sophia finally understood. The man standing before her was no longer the spineless, groveling simp she had wrapped around her finger. For the first time, a sliver of genuine fear pierced her heart. Just then, a clear, sharp voice cut through the tension. I said stop. A powerful pressure descended upon the hall. The guests felt an immense weight on their shoulders, making it hard to breathe. Leo's eyes widened in desperation. "Serafina, help me." He then turned his crazed eyes back to me. "Huh, Caleb Sterling, my senior is here. You are a dead man." The newcomer was Serafina, the top disciple of the Argent Sanctum. She stared at me, then at Leo, crushed beneath my foot. Her face instantly turned to stone, radiating killing intent. Your Sterling family has a lot of nerve, daring to humiliate the chosen one of the Argent Sanctum. Are you looking for death? Leo was a once-in-a-century prodigy. He was the Sanctum's hope to become the #1 power in the world. For someone to lay a hand on him was a capital offense. A few guests immediately recognized her. That's Seraphina, the Argent Sanctum's first disciple. A peak archon. The Sterling experts are all at the rift. This is bad, really bad for them. Is Caleb Sterling done for? Seraphina is a prodigy in her own right. They say she once fought an ascendant to a standstill and escaped unharmed. 10 of Caleb Sterling wouldn't be a match for her. Caleb might be strong, but he's young and arrogant. He's really done it this time. The Russo family, who had been sinking into despair, now looked relieved. Mr. Davies leaned in behind me, his voice heavy with concern. Young master, Seraphina is incredibly powerful. I am not certain I can defeat her. She's just a clown. Don't worry. Mr. Davies said no more. Seraphina, dressed in white, had the cold, ethereal beauty of a goddess. She fixed her eyes on me, her gaze filled with murderous intent. Let Leo go. Now. I didn't even bother to move the foot crushing Leo's face. I just gave Seraphina a lazy, dismissive glance. Your junior crashed my wedding, threatened to cripple me, and vowed to destroy my family. You think I'm just going to let him go? Or is it the official policy of the Argent Sanctum to let its disciples run around crashing weddings, bullying people, and throwing their weight around? This string of questions made Seraphina's expression darken. She hadn't expected Leo to have behaved so disgracefully, but she had been a dominant figure in this world for years. When had anyone dared to speak to her like that, especially with such blatant, undisguised contempt? The audacity sent a surge of fury through her. Insolence. Seraphina snapped. The full force of a peak archon erupted from her. The air in the hotel ballroom seemed to crystallize. Many of the weaker guests were thrown back by the sheer pressure, their faces contorting in horror. So this was the power of an archon. It was terrifying. Caleb Sterling. Leo is the chosen one of the Argent Sanctum. It is not your place to discipline him. If you do not get on your knees, cripple your own powers, and beg for Leo's forgiveness today, I will burn your family to the ground. At this, Leo started screaming again. Seraphina, kill him. Kill this bastard. He crippled my hands and insulted our sanctum. We can't let him live. The worry in Sophia's eyes vanished, replaced by gleeful malice. She knew how powerful Seraphina was. Once Seraphina made her move, Caleb Sterling was a dead man. However, faced with Seraphina's overwhelming pressure, I remained completely unaffected. I didn't even blink. I applied a little more pressure with my foot. Leo coughed up another mouthful of blood and collapsed into a whimpering heap, barely conscious. Burn the Sterlings to the ground. A mocking curve formed on my lips. You and what army? Arrogant fool. D. With a flick of her wrist, a sword of shimmering blue light appeared in her hand. The room was instantly filled with a bone-chilling cold, the air thick with killing intent. The guests scrambled for cover. The hotel's floor-to-ceiling plate glass windows exploded outward in a shower of glittering shards. Wielding her blade, Seraphina became a bolt of lightning. She tore through the space between us, appearing before me in an instant. Young master, watch out, Mr. Davies cried out, trying to step in front of me, but I waved him off. The guests shrieked and covered their eyes, certain they were about to witness my gruesome death. Leo's face twisted into a venomous grin. Ha-da, he rasped. How dare a nobody like you try to touch the woman I want? But the bloody scene they all expected never happened. I didn't even flinch. I simply raised my right hand and, with a casual flick of my index and middle fingers, caught her blade. Clang! After a sharp, ringing sound, Seraphina's unstoppable strike was brought to a dead halt, caught firmly between my two fingers. It couldn't advance another inch. The blue sword vibrated violently, but it couldn't break free. Seraphina's pupils constricted, her beautiful eyes filled with utter shock. Impossible. That's impossible. She desperately channeled all the power within her, her delicate face flushing crimson with effort. But the sword was held as if welded between my fingers, completely immobile. Is this all you've got? And you dare speak of destroying the Sterling family. I spoke with cutting disdain, then applied the slightest pressure. Crack! With a sharp snap, the master-crafted sword in Seraphina's hand shattered into pieces. The destruction of her bonded weapon sent a backlash of energy through her. She stumbled backward and collapsed onto the floor. Splat! She coughed up a mouthful of blood, her eyes wide with terror as she looked at me. No, how is he so strong? At that moment, she finally realized that the man before her, Caleb Sterling, was not someone she, a peak Archon, could ever hope to challenge. It was an absolute, crushing defeat. The difference between an ant and a giant. The entire hall fell into a dead silence. Everyone was stunned into paralysis by what they had just witnessed. How is that possible? He broke an Archon's bonded sword with 2 fingers? That's terrifying. What tier is this Caleb Sterling? Leo and Sophia were completely catatonic. Their minds were blank, unable to process the reality before them. In contrast, the Sterling family members were ecstatic, their eyes shining with pride and adoration. That was a peak Archon, and the young master had defeated her without breaking a sweat. The Russo family, on the other hand, sank into utter despair. Held at knife point by the Sterling guards, they trembled uncontrollably. Mr. Russo, ignoring the searing pain in his arm, bowed his head. His arrogance was gone. "Nephew Caleb, this has all been a misunderstanding," he pleaded. "Since Sophia doesn't love you, we can part amicably. There's no need for things to get this ugly." A misunderstanding? I glanced at him coolly. If Sophia and Leo were truly in love, they could have come to my family, stated their case, and returned all the assets the Sterlings have provided you over the years. Instead, you chose to humiliate my family with a public spectacle. You threatened to cripple me and annihilate my house. And now you tell me it was all a misunderstanding. Mr. Russo opened his mouth, but no words came out. Seraphina, though defeated, recovered from her initial shock and regained some of her usual haughtiness. "Caleb, even if Leo was in the wrong, you had better let us go. When the Argent Sanctum learns of what happened here today, your family will be wiped from existence. Don't throw your lives away." Still trying to threaten me, even now? My eyes narrowed. I lashed out with an open palm. Seraphina's legs exploded in a shower of blood and bone. She collapsed, screaming in agony. All traces of her arrogant demeanor were gone. "No, please." I raised my hand again. Leo's legs suffered the same fate. He was barely breathing, a rattling sound coming from his throat. The entire hall was paralyzed with fear. These were 2 of the Argent Sanctum's most brilliant prodigies. This was now a blood feud. Caleb Sterling's methods were so ruthless. His family was surely doomed. Everyone felt as though the sky was falling. It was over. The Sterling family was finished. I walked over to Seraphina and looked down at her. The dimensional rift disturbance wasn't major this time. The 3 sanctuaries didn't send reinforcements. "I'll give you a chance. Contact the Argent Sanctum. Tell them to come. It'll save me a trip." Hiss. The crowd collectively gasped. The reason the 3 sanctuaries were the supreme powers was because they had ascendants, beings on the verge of godhood. Even if the head of the Sterling family managed to return from the rift, he was only an Archon. Though I had defeated Seraphina, in their eyes, I couldn't be more than an Archon myself. Compared to the might of the Argent Sanctum, that was nothing. If the Sanctum's leaders came in force, the Sterling family would surely be annihilated. Everyone thought I had lost my mind. Pride really does come before a fall. Hearing my words, the Russo family felt a flicker of hope reignite within them. Seraphina, fighting through the pain, sent a distress signal to the Sanctum. I had everyone move to the open plaza outside the hotel. Until this was resolved, nobody was leaving. This 5-star hotel was a Sterling property. It was better to wait outside. A battle between high-tier awakened would reduce the building to rubble in seconds. And I intended to enjoy this. Just then, my phone started blowing up with calls from my father, grandfather, and various uncles. I knew it was Mr. Davies who had secretly called them. I ignored every call. They were tied up at the rift, dealing with creatures from another dimension. They couldn't get away, and I had no interest in listening to them tell me to stand down. I would clean up this mess for them. The events inside the hotel ballroom had already been secretly live-streamed. It started with a small audience, but now, over 1 million people were watching. When they saw that I held the Argent Sanctum in complete contempt, the internet exploded. The stream went viral. The viewer count was skyrocketing. I live next to the Russos, and I'll say it. The Russos are what they are today because the Sterlings propped them up. And now they pull this wedding-crashing stunt? I'm speechless. Leo Vance? The Draconic Core? Is that it? Leo used his Sanctum background to act like a thug, crashing a wedding and making threats. Getting crippled serves him right. He's on the ground like a stray dog? I thought he was a once-in-a-century genius. LOL, I'm dead. Seraphina, the top disciple of the Argent Sanctum, a goddess-tier peak archon, got her sword broken by 2 fingers and her legs destroyed? Caleb Sterling does not mess around. But the key part was him saying, even if all 3 sanctuaries came, they couldn't save him. I'll bet 5 grand Caleb is way more than just an archon. You're dreaming. Only the sanctuaries have ascendants, and they're all old masters. Exactly. How old is Caleb? Mid-tier archon at best. It's over. The Sterling family is going to be wiped out. What a shame. He's just too young. How could he challenge the authority of a sanctuary? It's suicide. Am I the only one who caught him saying, it'll save me a trip? Is he planning to take on the whole Argent Sanctum? Who gave him the nerve? Look at Mr. Russo's face. It went from despair to elation, and now he looks like he's constipated. It's like watching a magic trick. El Mayo. #1 trending topic. Hashtag Sterling Heir versus Sanctum. Let's go, people. I'm an outer disciple of the Argent Sanctum. Just got word. The Grand Master and the High Elder are on their way with all the inner disciples. Caleb Sterling is dead. The Sterlings will be erased from New York. You don't mess with our chosen one and first disciple and live. Caleb is hot, but he kicked the biggest hornet's nest imaginable. His family is done for today. He'll go down in history as the man who doomed them all. A short while later, an overwhelming pressure descended from the sky. Everyone in the city felt their bodies grow heavy. A massive contingent of figures appeared in the air above the hotel. The entire city looked up in awe and terror. At the very front were Celine, the Grand Master of the Argent Sanctum, and Marius, the High Elder. The aura of 2 ascendants pressed down like a mountain range. The weaker guests in the plaza turned pale, struggling to remain standing. WTF? What is that in the sky? Did the Argent Sanctum move their entire headquarters here? The woman in the middle in the purple robes. That's Grandmaster Celine, the legendary #1 beauty of the awakened world. That ethereal grace. She's unreal. And the old man with the white beard must be High Elder Marius. He's a high ascendant. It's over, it's over. Caleb really screwed up this time. 2 ascendants. How the hell do you fight that? Caleb needs to get on his knees and beg for his life right now. Seraphina began to wail. Master, Caleb Sterling crippled me and Leo. Please, Master, help us. Avenge us. Celine descended. Seeing the state of Seraphina and Leo, her ice-cold face filled with murderous rage. You are Caleb Sterling? I gave her a bored look. I am. You were the one who crippled Leo and Seraphina? I answered nonchalantly. Your disciples crashed my wedding, insulted my family, and threatened to annihilate us. I crippled them. Is there a problem? My confrontational attitude only fueled her rage. Leo is the glorious chosen one of the Sanctum. What's the big deal about him crashing a wedding? I looked at her with amusement. Leo was all talk and no skill. I crippled him. What's the big deal? You die. Celine's fury was absolute. Her voice echoed across the city. I looked at her with contempt. You can't kill me. Celine laughed coldly. Can I? She was an ascendant, one of the most powerful beings on the planet. Besides a few old monsters hiding in the other sanctuaries, who was there in this world that she, Celine, could not kill? Leo, having recovered slightly, cried out, Master, kill him. Kill him now. Seraphina was sobbing. Master, you must make him pay. Celine nodded. A terrifying energy erupted from her body. A vast, ocean-like power surged through the plaza. At that moment, Celine's presence became even more otherworldly, like a goddess looking down on mortals, demanding worship. She walked toward me, step by step. With each step, the ground trembled. An immense pressure filled the air, like a mountain pressing down on everyone present. By the time she reached me, the thousands of spectators had been forced back to the edge of the plaza by her aura. Only Celine and I remained in the center. I hadn't moved an inch. The look of casual indifference on my face hadn't changed at all. An invisible wave of energy exploded between us. The air churned violently, forming a massive energy vortex. Dark clouds gathered overhead, and thunder rumbled. Boom! A deafening explosion rocked the plaza. The ground between us was blasted apart by the invisible force, leaving a crater dozens of feet deep. Everyone watching was dumbfounded. How? How is this possible? The members of the Argent Sanctum and the Russo family looked at me as if they were seeing a ghost. Only the Sterling family members' eyes grew brighter with fervor. When the Sanctum arrived, they had all thought they were dead. They never imagined their young master was this powerful. All hail the young master. The live stream chat exploded. What the hell just happened? What was that? My phone just flew out of my hands. WTF? A crater dozens of feet deep just appeared out of nowhere. Was that just from their auras clashing? Celine is an ascendant. Caleb can go head-to-head with her? Is he even human? I saw it. Caleb didn't move the whole time. Not even a single step. The people from the Argent Sanctum looked sick. Their Grandmaster's aura couldn't even faze him. Sophie is awake. She saw the crater, and she's totally frozen. Her mouth is wide enough to fit an egg. I thought Caleb was a dead man for sure, but this looks like a real fight. I'm so hyped. Let them fight. Celine finally dropped her dismissive attitude. Her face was grave. My eyes roamed over her shamelessly. Have to admit, the woman was a stunner. She wore a flowing purple dress, her long black hair cascading over her shoulders. Her skin was like snow, her features exquisite, her aura unmatched. A true peerless beauty. Too bad she was a bit old. My voice was impatient. Old woman, are we going to fight or not? Why don't all of you from the Sanctum just come at me at once? Sophia still hadn't recovered from the shock. Suddenly, as if a thought struck her, she began to shriek. Impossible. Caleb was a pathetic loser who simped for me for years. How could he suddenly become so strong? It's absolutely impossible. He must have some kind of incredible artifact on him. Yes, that has to be it. Hearing me call her an old woman had already enraged Celine. She was about to attack when Sophia's words gave her pause. She looked at me with suspicion. Could it be? The Sterling family found an Immortal tier artifact in the rift. Legends of such artifacts had always existed, but no one had ever actually seen one. Now, the more she thought about it, the more plausible it seemed. The Sterling family. They dared to hide an Immortal tier artifact? The High Elder of the Sanctum shouted a warning. Grandmaster, fall back. If he truly has an artifact of that level, you cannot face him alone. Celine realized the gravity of the situation. This was a matter of life and death. She didn't hesitate, immediately retreating to High Elder Marius's side. The other spectators had a sudden epiphany. No wonder Caleb became so strong all of a sudden, able to stand against the Grand Master. He has an Immortal tier artifact. The Sterlings kept that well hidden. Now that the Argent Sanctum knows his secret, he's dead for sure, even with the artifact. Exactly. With Caleb's low power level, he can't possibly unleash the artifact's full potential. He might be able to handle one ascendant, but not the entire Argent Sanctum. Looks like the Sterling family can't escape their fate after all. The livestream chat was filled with similar sentiments. Historically, anyone who provoked a sanctuary was met with one fate: complete annihilation for them and their entire family. High Elder Marius, fearing any unforeseen complications, immediately began organizing his people into a formation. His full power as a high ascendant erupted. The sky filled with black clouds, and billions of lightning bolts snaked through them like silver dragons. It looked like the end of the world. The entire city stared at the sky, their faces etched with terror. He bellowed, "Crimson Moon Seal!" Every disciple of the Argent Sanctum glowed with a blood-red light. The light shot into the sky, coalescing into a colossal, blood-red moon. The moment the moon appeared, everyone felt an unbelievably powerful, world-ending aura descend upon them. The millions of people in the city trembled, feeling as if their very souls were about to be extinguished. Oh my god, that's the Argent Sanctum's ultimate weapon, the Crimson Moon Seal. Legend says that Formation's power is close to that of an Immortal. It once instantly vaporized a peak ascendant. Looks like even with an artifact, Caleb Sterling is dead meat. Sigh. All this over a crashed wedding. If he had just backed down earlier, it wouldn't have come to this. The Sterlings are doomed. Marius's voice boomed. Caleb Sterling, if you kneel and beg for mercy now and hand over the artifact, I can promise to only kill you and spare your family. Do not make a fatal mistake. The other members of the Sanctum chimed in. Sterling, get on your knees and thank the High Elder for his mercy, or your whole family will die without a proper burial. That's right, kowtow and repent. Once this seal is active, no one below the Immortal tier can survive. The High Elder is giving you a chance. You should cherish it. Don't be an ungrateful fool. I smiled faintly. Huh, is that so? I slowly raised my hand, forming a sword with my fingers, and an overwhelming energy erupted from me. With a single slash, a wave of power tore across the sky. It slammed directly into the massive blood-red moon. The dark clouds were obliterated. The gates of heaven themselves seemed to fly open. Boom! The cataclysmic sound was like the world being born. Every building in the city shook violently, as if they were about to be torn from their foundations. The blood moon, the seal that had terrified the entire city, the weapon said to be capable of killing a peak ascendant, shattered like a pane of glass. No! Billions of blood-red shards shot out like a meteor shower, disappearing into the vastness of space. The formation was destroyed. The disciples of the Argent Sanctum suffered a devastating backlash. They were sent flying like leaves in a hurricane, coughing up blood, the sound of their bones snapping, echoing through the air. As the core of the formation, Marius and Celine suffered the worst of it. They were vomiting blood, unable to even get up. When they looked at me, their eyes were filled with absolute terror and despair. Marius screamed in horror. A single slash that opens the heavens. You're in the Immortal tier? What? I Immortal tier? Did I hear that right? Immortal tier? Holy crap. He's really Immortal tier. He's the only Immortal on the planet. Oh my god, I'm witnessing a living legend. He broke the Crimson Moon seal with one strike and tore open the sky. This isn't a story anymore. This is mythology happening in real life. Holy shit, he's an Immortal. This world actually has an Immortal, and he's Caleb Sterling. An Immortal. That's something out of legend. To see an Immortal in action, I can die happy. Leo Vance tried to crash an Immortal's wedding. Pride really does come before a fall. Who was it that said Caleb was relying on an artifact? Show yourself. I've got some sword energy you can use as a mirror. I stood with my hands behind my back, an ethereal energy swirling around me, mingling with the rainbow-colored light pouring down from the tear in the sky. Hearing Marius's cry, I gave him a disinterested look. I am an Immortal, and yet your Argent Sanctum wanted to exterminate my entire family. How should we settle this account? Marius trembled violently, then collapsed his knees with a thud, banging his head on the ground repeatedly. Immortal, spare me. This lowly one, Marius, was blind and offended your divine presence. Please, Immortal, have mercy. Spare the Argent Sanctum this once. Celine struggled to her feet. Ignoring the blood at the corner of her mouth, she gave me a deep, graceful bow, her voice trembling uncontrollably. Senior, no, Divine Lord, it was our ignorance that led us to offend you. We deserve 10,000 deaths. Please forgive our foolish transgression. Every other spectator in the plaza dropped to their knees, their voices a chorus of awe. We pay our respects to the Immortal. Leo felt a cold dread wash over him. He, who had the potential to become a god, had tried to steal an actual god's fiancée. It was over. He knew it was all over. No one could save him now. His entire sanctum was going down with him. The Russo family was shaking, their bodies trembling uncontrollably. They never imagined I was an Immortal, and Sophia had tried to publicly humiliate me. How had it come to this? Sophia's mind was a complete blank. Only the Sterling family members remained standing, their eyes blazing with a fervor that bordered on worship. I swept my gaze over the kneeling crowd. The Argent Sanctum has offended an immortal. Their path was to seek death. Therefore, death is what they shall receive. As the words left my mouth, I struck out with my palm. No! The members of the Argent Sanctum screamed in unison. It was futile. Everyone, including Marius, Celine, and Leo Vance, was instantly vaporized into clouds of blood mist. The Russo family finally broke, scrambling on their knees, begging for their lives. 17 Sophia crawled to my feet, pressing her forehead to the ground. Caleb, no, Divine Lord, I was wrong. Please, I beg you, spare me this one time. I'll do anything you ask. I looked down at the weeping, sniveling woman at my feet. Those eyes, which had once held the original Caleb in a trance, were now filled with nothing but the primal fear of death. Anything, I smiled, a smile that held no warmth. Are you willing to die? Sophia froze, shaking her head, then nodding frantically, her words tumbling out in a panicked rush. No, that's not. I'm willing to be your slave. A maid. I can serve you tea, make your bed. Anything, as long as the Divine Lord spares my life. I'll do anything. I was wrong, I was so wrong. I spoke softly. To be my maid, you are not qualified. You love Leo, don't you? Then go join him. No. Facts aside, aren't you also to blame, Caleb? Why did you hide your power? If you hadn't hidden your power, why would I have chosen Leo? This is all your fault. You can't do this to me. Don't kill me. I know I was wrong. Please give me one more chance. No. With a casual wave of my hand, Sophia exploded. She burst into a cloud of red mist, her body and soul completely erased from existence. Mr. Davies, see the rest of the Russos on their way. Yes, young master. Mr. Davies gestured, and the guards no longer hesitated. Amidst the desperate screams of the Russo family, they were all executed on the spot. I turned to face the kneeling guests and the members of my own family, my voice carrying across the entire city. Today's events are now concluded. From this day forward, there is no Argent Sanctum. The Russo family is no more. Within the domain of the Sterling family, any who dare to provoke us shall be met with death. Just then, the system's notification sound chimed in my mind. Ding! Congratulations, host, for completing the wedding-crashing plot mission. Reward, Power Tier +1. You have successfully advanced to the Golden Immortal tier. In light of the host's perfect completion of the mission, you may now freely choose when to begin the next mission. Damn, after all the years this system has worked me like a dog, it finally did something decent. I think I'll stay on this world for a century or two. He killed them all? Even Sophia? The Divine Lord is making a statement. His methods are brutal. Brutal? How would you react if someone crashed your wedding and threatened your family? I say good riddance. So, the Sterling family is now the #1 power on the planet, right? Who would ever dare mess with them again? An immortal. I must go pay my respects to the immortal. The Azure Sanctuary. The Azure Sanctuary pays its respects to the Divine Lord. We await your command, and will follow you through fire and water. A-list actress Serenity Bell. Divine Lord, I want to have your babies. Wait, is that actually Serenity Bell's verified account? Pop superstar Luna Vale. Divine Lord, do you need someone to warm your bed? 3060, and I'm still a virgin. Sacred Maiden of the Elysian Sanctuary. Is the Divine Lord in need of a partner on his path? OMG, it's madness. The A-listers, pop stars. Even the Sacred Maiden has lost her cool. My goddesses. Sob. Divine Lord, do you need to go for... Is the stream over? I'm not done watching. I beg Caleb to start a channel and live stream his daily cultivation. +1, +1, +10086.